We are going to go through Ymir and Yolan's questline. It's kind of interlinked. It basically just means we'll have a little bit more to do after this whole thing is finished so that we can get ourselves a spirit summon. That is what I'm going to be choosing for this. Before we start, what I recommend having is at least one Iris of Occultation and one Iris of Grace. Both of these can be attained in the Shadow Keep. It's a good idea to have a lot of this cleared because we are going to be heading over this way anyway. You will want to progress until you have the Shadow Keep back gate Site of Grace. It's going to be something that's very useful to you. If you don't have that, obviously I have a walkthrough series going on the channel right now. So if you go on the channel page, you'll be able to find it there. I would usually link it in a pinned comment, but YouTube has removed all of those. So I assume they're at war with us promoting our own playlists in our comment sections. I don't understand, but that is just the way that it has to be, I'm afraid. As you can see, and I probably should have explained this a second ago, we're of course at the Cathedral of Manus Metia right now. And we're going to go ahead and speak to Ymir himself to get the quest started. Keep on talking to him and exhaust his dialogue and you'll unlock him as a merchant, which means you can grab yourself some spells. Nothing too fancy here right now, but there certainly will be as we continue moving the quest line along. Now that we have the map, the first place that we want to go to is down to the south near Cerulean Cove. You might have seen these weird looking swirly things on the map. Well, that's what we've got to go to. I'm not sure if they are time sensitive or if you like Beak Dradan, we can still do this. I'm not sure about that. What I do know is we're going to do it before we have defeated Messmer. In any case, the closest site of Grace is going to be the Cerulean Coast Cross. That's the one we're going to use right now. And from here, we're going to head out to the kind of northwest. And you can see this is actually a crossroad. And we're going to head along this eastern path right here, which is going to lead us to this beach. Okay, it's pretty easy for us to find. As you can see, there's a rather large ruin over this way that we should be able to use as a signpost. Once we find it, we can head on through. You should see it's pretty much straight east as we're going along. This brings you out to a beach. Here we're going to start seeing some rather familiar enemies. I'm of course not really going to be fighting any of this as we're going through. We're just going to pass along the beach. Until we see a fairly obvious looking route off of the beach, which is going to take us into the ruins that we need to enter. Go ahead and tag the Site of Grace, and then we're going to start making our way towards this kind of central looking ruin. Don't go in a straight line. There are some enemies here that are pretty mean. Instead, what we're going to attempt to do is we're going to come to the side a little bit and we're going to follow one of these little divots in the rings until we get behind the ruin. Once we're behind it, we're pretty safe to go ahead and interact with it. Once we get down onto the main danger area, I'll keep the video whole rather than doing little skips. That way you guys can see what it is we need to be doing. So there we have it. It looks like a rather nice straight path, but we've got some snakes over there and they're going to cast these really weird pink beams at us. They're going to like trap us and have snakes come out of the ether to start trying to devour us, and that is just not pleasant. So we're on one of the divots now. This one shouldn't be too bad. Usually you can tell because they're kind of glowy which ones are the bad ones. As you can see, we stay behind most of it. Nothing's aggroed on us. We've got a waypoint to follow. And that very easily allows us to reach the objective. I don't actually know why we can summon here, but go ahead, interact with the bell. Cool. Now that that's done, we are going to want to go back to Ymir, but before we do that, we need to make sure that we have the Oh Mother gesture. To get that, you need to make your way to Bonnie Village. I'm not going to do all of like the directions to everywhere that we go, but you need to get to Bonnie Village. From here, you want to set yourself a marker that is across the dry riverbed and up at the top end here, as that is where we are going to get the gesture. You'll be able to see as you're approaching a rather prominent looking dead tree. This character already has the gesture, so hopefully you guys can use your imagination and imagine that we have just collected ourselves a gesture. Okay, now that we're prepared, we can go back to the cathedral, where we're going to find that Ymir is pretty happy with this. So let's go ahead and exhaust his dialogue again. And if you look at his repertoire of spells, it has in fact expanded. With that done, we now need to go to the second ruin, which is right here on the map. Obviously, it's nice and easy to see, not as easy to reach. what you need to do is reach the Shadow Keep back gate site of grace. And once you're here, we're going to head to a statue which has already moved. I didn't think I'd already done it. Anyway, this statue is usually in the middle here. All you need to do is get your own mother on, do it in front of the statue, and the statue is going to move for you. Be careful on the other side, there are some tough enemies here, but I'm not going to bother fighting them right now. I'm just going to be passing through so that we can get the quest done. So I'm just going to go ahead, tag this grace. This is going to be useful for us later, as we are going to want to head up to a little village up there once the quest is starting to draw to its conclusion. So it's up to you. You can fight the tree spirits if you want, or you can not. There is going to be another grace closer to the place that we want to go to along the way, and that is what we are aiming for. Okay, so after having moved along, you can see we've kind of skipped a grace. I believe this is the closest grace to the destination that we need to get to. So this is where we're going to head down from. I will keep this part whole again so you guys can kind of see what we're doing. I'm going to avoid most of the enemies. I'm not too interested in defeating anything for the duration of this video, so we're going to give these guys a wide berth. Tons of enemies here. Like if you want to like go for a long fight, get yourself some runes, that's definitely a thing that can be done here. Now then, once we start getting down into the wrinkles of everything again, we're starting to come across the snakes. What worked for me was heading to my left, so we're going to actually head over to the eastern side once we start getting to the ruins of Deo, as it's called. So these guys here are pretty mean. There's the pink one. That's the one that's going to cast the beam. We need to not get seen by that. No, it's not that one. It's this one. Okay, quick. It's the dark blue ones. There we go. I was wrong on the color. They don't even seem to de-aggro, so we really need to be as far away as we can. And we're going to use this ditch to get all the way down. Ouch, ouch. Should be pretty safe once we hit the ditch. So again, you guys can fight your way through this. Didn't seem all that worth it to me. Once we've hit this kind of southern part of it, obviously I can't really show the map because there's combat everywhere, although you can. Nothing actually really stopping us down this back end. I don't know how dangerous it is. Let's take a look over the back end here. Yeah, you can punch some snakes if you want. There's no blue ones over there. But here we are anyway. We can interact with the second, where we can again head back to Ymir at the Cathedral of Manus, where we can again go ahead and talk to our friend Ymir. Obviously, we can go ahead and interact with Yolan at this point. Always make sure we are exhausting dialogue. Alright, with all that done, now we have the third map, which is a bit of a trick. Can't really see it. After you've spoken through all of his dialogue, we're now going to fast travel away. Rest at a grace to make sure everything's fully reset. You could even go as far as like quitting out and coming back in. Sometimes it can be a little bit finicky just getting him to move on. What you should find is that we no longer have Ymir in the throne, which is useful. Go ahead and make sure Yolan is also completely dialogued out, and we can now examine the throne to discover a pathway. Welcome to the Finger Runes of Ymir. We're going to go ahead and interact with the final bell. Obviously, we're going to have to fight off Anna. This is Yolan's sister, by the way. We're actually going to get that as a summon as part of this video. Interact with the third bell. With the boss down, we can fast travel back up to the cathedral again, and then head back towards the throne where we are used to seeing Ymir. Be prepared, this is going to be a fight, and it can be a bit annoying because he does try to chain you up and he teleports off. So once Yolan is dealt with, we'll have Ymir after this. We put Count Ymir down easily enough to get all of his goodies. And now we want to speak to Yolan. So let's go ahead, fast travel back to the Grace, where we can rest again, and then head on back in here. And we're going to give the Iris of Grace. That's my recommendation. You can get her weapon with the Iris of Occultation, but when I used it, it was not very good at all. I do not recommend the weapon. Maybe you can use it for like some kind of build, but I am going to go with the Grace. That's going to give us the Sword Hand of Yolan Spirit Summon. With that, we want to go back to the tree. No, we want to go back to the hinterland site of grace. Probably going to be bad that I didn't bother with the tree spirits, but we're going back up that way. Anywho, from here, we want to head up that way. So we're going up to the highland now. This is the shaman's village. Some pretty cool stuff up there. But most importantly, we can actually drop off the Rabbath's Rise, which is what we want from this. So we're just riding on by. We're going to mind our own business. Tree Spirit's going to get all stuck as we arrive at Shaman Village. Plenty of loot to grab around here as well, so, you know, you guys go ahead and explore that, but we're going to head to the back end of the village, where we will now be able to start using the drop-offs to reach Rabbath's Rise. So, as you can see, through the rocks here, where we can see the balcony below, we're going to go ahead, drop onto there, where we can interact with the puppet. We're going to usher Anna into Swordhand Yolan's Spirit Ashes, where we now have Yolan and Anna, and that closes out the video.